right, let's go ahead and get started here. This is getting started with NetBeans or basically CS250 in general. We're going to begin with, I'm going to begin with showing you how to create a project and completing your first assignment. And then we're going to go into how to import the data files for your assignments, your hands-on assignments from the books data files into a project that you create. So to begin with creating a NetBeans project, we're going to double click on the NetBeans icon and start it up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create, we're going to go to File and New Project. Now, when I use the terms HTML5 and JavaScript, they're the same thing. HTML5 is JavaScript. And what JavaScript is the ability to dynamically change static values that are in your HTML files, such as your HTML tags or your CSS values. You can dynamically change them after the web page has loaded, and often those changes will be done before they're visible to the user. So it's just a way of making client-based scripting code that manipulates your static values for your HTML files. So in some cases, you can actually use JavaScript to print HTML tags that are then rendered in the browser. But mostly what you're going to be doing is you're going to be writing JavaScript that manipulates HTML tags after the fact. So that's why JavaScript, the scripts themselves are always put after or at the very end of an HTML file. So we're going to choose HTML5 JavaScript as a category. Your project is going to be this one, a JavaScript application or a JS file. Or what? It's not going to be a JS file, but you can have JS files. Okay, now at this point, you're going to create a good name for your project and put a good location. I like to put everything on the desktop. If you're doing your assignment, you might put a hands-on 1-1. Remember, never use spaces when you're giving a name to anything. Projects, especially, and most especially databases. So we have no site template. And then we want to uncheck all these. You don't need them. Okay, then we're going to click Finish, and it's going to go ahead and load up our project. And since we put this on the desktop, it's called HTML5 application. If you break it down, the most important part of this is what's called the site root, and that's where our index web page is located. We can look at the folder that is created, and we can see that we have some project information that NetBeans puts in there, some other information, but this is the biggest information. This is your site root public HTML. That's where the site root puts things, is that portion in the folder, and that's where you would want to put other things that you're working on, or if you wanted to bring in a different index to work with for an HTML page, you would put it all in this folder right here. But you could also do it and work within just this area. You can actually drag and drop files into this folder within NetBeans. So to begin a script, we would write some JavaScript code to manipulate this HTML file. If we look at this HTML file and run it, show it in Chrome, we could right-click here and say Run File, and Chrome would pop up, and it would show us the web page that we currently have, and we can actually add some scripting or that. And JavaScript would begin with the script tag. And you always put it at the end of the body of the HTML file, and that's because JavaScript is for manipulating after the objects of the web page are have been declared. So in this case, our script tag, the only thing that we're going to do in our script is just print hello world. So this would be the start of the script and the end of the script. And what I can do in here is I can do our document.write of hello world. And then I can test it. Now, there's two ways I can test it. If I wanted to debug in NetBeans, I would do it with the NetBeans connector. You would add that plugin for Chrome. If you're not going to do any debugging in NetBeans, you would just run it right here through Chrome, and you have index.html set as your default file. Make sure you do a save all when you make any edits, and then hit the play button, and the browser will pop up, and there's our hello world output. And we can add some more to that and begin to do what's called debugging. Now, debugging is where you can actually go in here and use Chrome to debug your web page. You'll go to more tools and then developer tools here, and make sure you choose sources and click on your actual file. Now this is the file we're working on in NetBeans, and I can add some more information here, or just some more code, and we can just kind of be simple with it, and do a save all. And I don't have to hit play anymore. I could just go over here and refresh it, and there's my changes. Now, if I want to debug this in Chrome, which is one of the better methods, I could set a breakpoint, and then I could refresh it again, and it's going to rerun everything, and it's going to stop at the breakpoint. Now there, I've reran everything there, and now the breakpoint is been, or the code has stopped in interpretation at our breakpoint, and then what I can do then is do things like step over and examine kind of what's going on with this code. We can set what's called breakpoints. You can hover over things to see kind of what's going on. And the reason why this is important is because JavaScript is an interpreted language as well as HTML, and that's important that we have it in interpreted language, because when you think about programs and kind of when you call tech support, the first thing they do, did you restart it? That's what they say. So executables have a tendency to crash. So when we're dealing with a technology like a website, we want it to be fairly robust. So we have an interpreter, another executable, to interpret the code, and therefore we can make decisions like ignoring bad code. The problem with that is when we write bad code, it often is not easy for you to kind of deduce that what you wrote, the code that you wrote, is not really working well. And that could be just a simple, being off by a character or something like that. Just you not be able to see it. Everything would run right, but some of it wouldn't run well. And when you were to refresh this, it would still work somewhat, but not everything would work. So debugging is crucial in JavaScript because of it, because it's built to work. In other words, it's built to work even when you have bad code. All right, so that little bit on debugging and starting off with your first project. Now we're going to go into the next portion, which is taking and working with your assignment based code, and that you're going to get from working in or grabbing the data from your coursework. So you'll go to CS250, and you'll see here that we have student book data files. So you're going to download that, and you're going to choose your assignment file. Let's say that we are working on hands-on project 1-5. Now this is the code that or the starter files that you would use for your assignment. One thing to note that this modernizer.js, which is a JavaScript file, you don't need it. It's just there so that it would basically the code that's written in or given to you in through this book. Some of it doesn't play nice with the old version of Microsoft Explorer, which is why we don't have it anymore. So you could get rid of it or just leave it in there. It doesn't matter. You can ignore it. You can grab these files and move them over. And now we have a new file called index.htm. We have the old index that we had when we started our project, and we have the new index, which includes some of your CSS and other values. So we could actually just run one or the other by clicking this run file, and this would show us our template to begin working on our assignment. We could just decide, well, okay, I don't want this one anymore because it's messy. Okay, I think I had a little bit of a bug that went off on me during that recording. Let's see. Let's come back to where we were at. It looks like Panapto didn't play and NetBeans don't play well together when it comes to a keyboard press, which is all right. So let's say that we do not want that index.html anymore. I've just deleted it, and now I have this file index.html. Now the problem with this is it's not set as our startup file. So when we hit play, it's going to ask us for our startup file. We could always just right click and say run file. But what if we want to set it up correctly so that when we hit play, it works as intended? So I'm going to hit play here, and this pops up. And what it is it's an area in NetBeans where you can tell it what is the start file for when you hit the play button. And you can just browse, go to your project, and say, okay, my new start file is index.htm. Select the file and say okay. And now when I hit play, it brings up the code that you are going to be working with for your assignment. And then you can use this as your template to begin the steps that are outlined for you in your assignment. For this instance, you would look through the steps for 1-5. Okay, so that's getting started using NetBeans. Remember, you don't have to use NetBeans. You can use any text editor you wish. This is just something that's kind of easy to work with and easy to keep track of things. There's some other products out there that you might enjoy more, but that's all up to you. Thank you.